Welcome to the realm of astrology, Aries. If you are an Aries sun sign or an Aries rising sign, this monthly astrological reading will apply to you. But before we begin, do hit the subscribe button. Alright, so I'm going to break down the entire month of June for you, Aries, what it's going to bring for you, what the important transits are, and we're going to look at the chart as we go through the month. So let's begin with June 1st. Alright, but before that, let me also mention that on May 26th, there was an eclipse, a total lunar eclipse on the Gemini Sag axis, which means on your 3rd and 9th house axis. And an eclipse brings about fated events, it speeds things up, it brings pieces of information. So for you, Aries, areas connected to your 3rd and 9th house. 3rd house is communication, it's your mind, it's perception, it's your immediate environment. And the 9th house is faith, it's religion, it's higher education, college level education, and it's foreign travel. So the eclipse brought to light these areas for you, Aries. Alright, and right now as we hit June 1st, we are in between eclipses. We have another eclipse on June 10th, and this period in between eclipses is karmic, it's fated. It brings events, information that will speed things up in your life, and like I said, that are fated for you. So be mindful of that as we enter the month for you, month of June. And for you, Aries, the Gemini Sag are your 3rd and 9th houses. So like I said before, your siblings, your immediate environment, your mind, your communication, your religion, faith, higher education, foreign travel, these are the areas that will be impacted by the eclipses. So that's the first thing. Now, the chart here is open to June 1st. On June 1st, the Sun and the North Node will conjunct, they will meet up. And for you, Aries, they will meet up in your 3rd house. Now, the 3rd house for you already has a lot of energy. Your 3rd house is the house of Gemini. For you, the North Node is there, the Sun is there, Mercury is there, and Venus is there. Now let's talk about what this transit means, the Sun-North Node conjunction. Whenever a planet is next to the North Node, it gets energized. In this case, the Sun, which is our soul, which is our identity. And whichever house the Sun is in, we focus on those areas in our life. The Sun illuminates those areas for us. So again, Aries, for you, a lot of focus is on communication. It's on your mind. It's on perception. It's your immediate environment, your surroundings, and your siblings. And the Sun-North Node conjunction will powerfully bring these areas to light even more. Okay, so that happens for you on 1st of June. Moving on to the chart, on with the month, we move on to June 2nd. On June 2nd, we go through what is known as the last quarter phase of the moon. Now, this is a point where the moon makes its last 90-degree angle before the new moon cycle for the next month begins. Now, what does all this mean? It means that at this point, at the last quarter phase of the moon, we start to release things. We start to let go of things. And what are we releasing and what are we letting go of? It's what we started on May 11th with the new moon in Taurus. That moon started a new beginning for us in terms of self-values, skills, and finances. And for you, it was even more powerful because Taurus is your 2nd house. So you definitely started something new connected to your self-worth, your values, your skills, finances, monetary possessions, all these things. And now you're assessing what can come with you to the next month, what needs to be released regarding those areas of your life. And a square does not feel easy, so this day can feel stressful. You'll be figuring out what you need to take with you, what you need to leave behind, what's working, what's not working. Alright, and on the same day for you, Aries, Venus will leave your 3rd house and enter your 4th house. It's changing signs from Gemini, it's entering Cancer today. And what does this mean for you? Whenever Venus is in a particular house, we become more receptive to those particular things in our life. And like I said, for you, Aries, a lot has been focused on communication, on writing, on perception, on your immediate environment, because Venus, as you can see on the chart, is in your third house, still 2947. It's going to move on into your fourth house. And now the focus is going to shift from communication, immediate environment, your surroundings, your mind, your thinking, your siblings, peer group, travel, local travel if you've been doing that, and it will move on to the fourth house, your deepest emotions, your family, your home, your foundation, your ancestors. You'll become more receptive to these things. And Venus is also a benefic, which means it brings with it gifts. So it entering the fourth house is a feel-good energy. It's blessing your home, your foundation, your deep emotions, your closest friends, your ancestors. It's blessing all that. It's also real estate. So if you're into that, then this will be a positive moment for you. And so that's June 2nd for you. Now, I do want to mention towards the 10th to the 14th is a very intense period, and we will get to that, but I just thought I'd mention it. Now, the next thing happens on June 10th, because that's one of the most important events of the month. It is a new moon solar eclipse at 19 degrees of Gemini. Now, first of all, why are eclipses so important? Firstly, because they're karmic. They bring with them karmic events. You receive pieces of information. They speed things up in your life. And eclipse energy can stay with us for a long, long, long time. 6 months at least, but it can go even much longer than that. So it's like, an eclipse will happen, it'll impact certain areas of your life, and for a long time you'll be dealing with those areas. You'll be figuring things out in those areas. Or an eclipse will give you some information, or some events will happen in certain areas of your life depending on where the eclipse is, which I will tell you now, Aries. And you will see that play out at least for the next 6 months, if not longer. Now, so the eclipse happens at 19 degrees of Gemini, and it's a new moon solar eclipse. So what does that mean? It means it's also a new moon. And what do new moons bring? They bring about new beginnings. They are the point where we sow the seeds for what's to come. And for you, Aries, it's in the sign of Gemini, and Gemini is your third house. And like I said, the focus for you is communication, it's writing, it's perception, it's your immediate environment, it's your siblings, it's your peer group, it's your immediate close domestic travel. And the eclipse new moon will sow a new beginning in these areas of your life. That beginning will stay with you for 6 months. Typically, a new moon beginning stays with us for a month. We work in it for a month, and then another new moon happens, and then we work on the new thing for the next month. However, an eclipse is not like that. An eclipse will stay with you. So for you, these are the areas that I mentioned: siblings, immediate environment, your mind, your perception, your communication, writing, transportation. All these things are what is being impacted by the eclipse, and where you might start a new beginning, or you might receive some piece of information, or where events may start to take place in your life. Okay, and always remember, it's a beginning of something. So the seed is being planted right now, and at the new moon, the night is the darkest, right? So you may not be able to see things very clearly as to what have you sown. You may not be able to exactly tell what you've sown or what has begun, but something will be sown and something will begin, which will come to light with the full moon 6 months later, with the full moon in Gemini. So we'll talk about all those things, but this is an eclipse for you, and it's very, very, very important. And on June 11th, right after the eclipse, Mars enters the sign of Leo. It has been in the sign of Cancer for about 40 days. And to be honest with you, Mars does not really like the sign of Cancer, okay? Because Cancer is ruled by the moon, which is a feminine energy. And Mars is a masculine sign. It does not work very well at Cancer. What does that mean? It means that taking action, our drive, our willpower, all those things don't work very well when Mars is in the sign of Cancer. Now for you, Aries, Cancer is your fourth house. Mars has been transiting your fourth house for the past 40 days. And whenever Mars transits a house, it energizes it. So for the past 40 days, it has energized your home, your foundation, your family, your deepest emotions, your closest friend circle. Okay, and now it's leaving your fourth house and entering your fifth house, and that's the area of your life that it's going to energize. And that area is connected to pleasure, it's connected to children, it's connected to romance, it's connected to hobbies. So you may pick up a new hobby. You meet, if you're single, you may meet a partner, or if you're in a relationship, the romance may become more fun. Or you may indulge in activities that give you pleasure, or if you're looking to have children, this is the time it may happen for you, because Mars is entering your fifth house. And moving on to the chart, this is the most important event of the year. It's the Saturn Uranus Square. Now, I'll talk a little bit about this to give you a background on what this means before I get into what it means for you exactly, Aries. Now, first thing, let's talk about Saturn. Saturn is a planet that is the disciplinarian. It brings with it hard work. It wants you to work hard. It wants you to be disciplined. It wants you to put things in order. It rules the tangible world, the material world. And whenever Saturn is transiting a particular house, it puts the matters of that house in order, which means that you will need to work hard, be disciplined in that particular area of your life. I will tell you what that area is for you in a moment. And it does not feel very easy. It feels difficult rather. However, if you do the work, if you put in the work and you have the discipline and you do what Saturn demands, you do what Saturn demands of you, then Saturn will reward you. However, with Saturn, the rewards come a little bit later, not while you're putting in the work. It can even come a year and a half after Saturn has left that particular house. Now let's talk about the house Saturn is in for you, Aries. Saturn has been in your 11th house since December 2020 for good. It did enter your 11th house last year sometime, but it retrograded back into your 10th house, which is the house of career. Now it's in your 11th house. So Saturn typically stays in a house for about 2.5, 3 years. Now, let me give you a little bit of background on what you've been going through, Aries. Saturn came into the sign of Capricorn in 2017 December for good. And Capricorn, Aries is your 10th house, which rules your career. So from 2017 to 2020, you were very focused on your career, on building your career, on public life. It's also fame, it's also politics. So this was the focus of your life, okay? This is what you were putting in order. And now Saturn has done that for you. And it's entered your 11th house in December of 2020. 11th house is the house of your social circle, not your close friends, but your acquaintances, the groups you belong to. It's also your hopes, goals, dreams. It's also scientific innovation and technology. Okay, so Saturn in your 11th house is now asking you to work towards your social circle, work towards your hopes, goals, and dreams, work towards your science and tech if you are into that. And let me also tell you that Saturn has retrograded. It retrograded on May 23rd, so not very long ago, a few days ago rather. And what does that mean? That means that when Saturn is direct, we put in a lot of work, okay? So Aries, you have been working very hard since December of 2020 on your social circle, on the groups that you belong to, on your hopes, goals, and dreams, on science, tech, if you're into that. And now with the retrograde, you will start to reap the rewards of the work that you've put in since October, okay? Because Saturn has been direct since October of 2020. And now you'll start to see the rewards come. Now the pressure will start to lift off, and it's all connected to your 11th house. So that's 1. 2, let's talk about Uranus, okay? What is Uranus? Uranus is the planet that is responsible for breakthroughs. It's responsible for insights. It wants you to be you, your authentic self. It's the planet that likes to rebel, okay? It's the planet that'll say, hey, this thing's preventing you from coming into you, get rid of it. I'll get rid of it for you. So that's the Uranus energy, and it's sudden, it comes out of the blue, it's unexpected. So for you Aries, Uranus is in your second house. It has been here since it entered Taurus properly, which I believe was 2019, end 2018, beginning 2019. I'd have to check exactly, but around then. And Uranus can be quite sudden, so you may be feeling some shift, some changes in your second house matters, which are what? Self-worth, value, skills, finances. Okay. And now these two planets are squaring, making a 90-degree aspect. And this is happening after 21 years. So it's a rare energy, it's a rare thing to go through. And what does it mean in general? In general, it means we have to get rid of the old and embrace the new. We have to get rid of old ways of thinking, being, living, and embrace the new. It's about finding out who you truly are. And for you, Aries, this battle between the old and the new is happening between your social circle, your hopes, goals, and dreams, and your skills, your values, your finances, and your self-worth. These are the two areas this transit is going to highlight. And we are going to feel this energy for 2 years, 2021 and 2022. But on June 14th, this transit comes exact, which means today is a very potent day. It's a very powerful day. You'll feel it very, very intensely. Okay? And I'll be honest, this energy will not feel easy. So that's June 14th for you, Aries. Moving on to June 17th. Okay, June 17th is what we call the first quarter phase of the moon. Now, this is where the moon makes its first 90-degree angle with the sun after the new moon. And we had a new moon solar eclipse on June 10th, as I just showed you, which was in your third house of communication, siblings, immediate environment, mind, thinking, all those things. And it was a new beginning for you. It was a karmic new beginning for you on June 10th in those areas. And now, Aries, you've reached the point where some obstacle, some challenge will come up regarding that new beginning that took place on June 10th. And you will need to adjust something, resolve something, make a change. But these changes, these adjustments, these obstacles are very day to day. And what do I mean by that? They're not very big things, they're small things. Okay, they're small adjustments. Why? Because the moon, the lunar month, is our day to day. It's our moods. It's every moment to moment that we're going through. So the adjustments are small. Adjustments are day to day, but they need to be made so that you can move forward, so that you can pursue that new beginning that started for you on June 10th. All right. And for you, Aries, the areas of your life that will be highlighted with this square will be your third house, communication, mind, social communication, mind, peer group, like what I just mentioned, and your sixth house, which is health, which is your job, which is your day-to-day routine, diet, nutrition, exercise. So perhaps it could be something else, but perhaps the little adjustment will need to be made pertaining to these areas of your life: your environment, your health, your job, your routine, your day-to-day routine, your exercise, all these little things. Now, moving on with the month. On June 20th, we go through another major event. Jupiter retrogrades. Now, what does this mean? Retrograde is when a planet begins to move backwards from the Earth's perspective. It's not actually moving backwards, but from the Earth, it looks like it's moving backward. So Jupiter has been direct till now. And when planets are direct, we create karma. We are moving forward directly. But when they start to retrograde, the pressure lifts off and we start to reap the rewards of the work that we have put in. And now Jupiter, the most benefic planet of the zodiac, has become retrograde. It is going to retrograde in your 12th house, Aries, as you can see on the chart. And from your 12th house, it will retrograde back into your 11th house. All right. And Jupiter brings with it gifts. Okay. So since it's going to move from your 12th house into your 11th house, I'll talk about both a little bit. 12th house is the house of spirituality. It's the house of the higher realm. It's also meditation and it's connecting with the divine. It's also drugs, depression, delusion, confusions, and lies. Now, Jupiter coming into this area of your life, as it did on May 13th, it changed signs on May 13th, by the way. From Aquarius, it came into Pisces, and it's come into Pisces after 12 years. The last time it was in Pisces was between 2010 and 2011. So now it's come into Pisces again, and it's entered your 12th house on May 13th. And now it's going to bless, give you gifts in your 12th house. And if you want to know what that means for you more, watch my Jupiter and Pisces video. But just know that it's going to bless your 12th house, which is connected to spirituality, the higher realm, connecting with the divine, subconscious mind. It's also fears, it's hidden enemies, it's also drugs, delusions, depression. That's the area it's going to bless. And it has been in your 11th house, so it's already blessed your social circle, it's already blessed your hopes, goals, and dreams. And what do I mean by blessed? It's made things work, it's healed things, it's, it's it's like putting a balm over a wound. Jupiter also does that. So it's done that in 11th house and now in your 12th house. And when it goes retrograde, you'll start to see the rewards and the gifts come. Jupiter, even when it's direct, gives you gifts, but now the lessons associated with Jupiter, because Jupiter also wants you to learn lessons, okay? The lessons are you don't need to learn them anymore. Either you've learned them or you haven't. And now in the retrograde period, you'll say, good, I learned this and that was great. Or I should have learned this. I understand now. Either one of those two things will happen. And a lot is happening today. The sun will also finish up in your 3rd house, which is your immediate environment, siblings, communication, mind, thinking, all those things, and enter your 4th house, okay? 4th house is your deepest emotions, it's your family, it's your foundation, it's your ancestors, it's real estate as well. And when the sun leaves one house and enters the other one, and it does every 30 days, it illuminates a different part of our life. So for the past 30 days, Aries, it has illuminated your communication, your mind, your writing, your siblings, your immediate environment, peer group, immediate travel. And now it's going to come into your 4th house and illuminate your deepest emotions, your family, your foundation, your closest friends, real estate, if you're into that, all these things, okay? And another thing that happens today at about 5 p.m. is that Mercury comes out of retrograde. Mercury has been in retrograde since end May, I believe, 28th, 29th May. And when Mercury goes retrograde, it's a review period. We begin to review our mental processes. And for you, Aries, it is in your 3rd house. There's a lot of 3rd house for you. And 3rd house is, again, communication, transportation, immediate environment, siblings. So you've been reviewing things connected to this area of your life. And now it's started to move direct, which means things will start to move forward again. Because when Mercury is retrograde, things do tend to slow down. We begin to reprocess things we've gone through. And communication slows down. Gadgets can malfunction. All that happens. But Mercury going direct will mean forward movement in your 3rd house matters. Moving on June 24th, 2 important things are happening. First is a full moon in Capricorn, okay? Now, the full moon for you, Aries, will happen in your 4th and 10th house, okay? 4th house is the house of your family, foundation, deepest emotions, closest friends, and the 10th house is the house of career, business, fame, politics, all those things, the public life basically. So, and a full moon, what does it do? A full moon is when the sun and the moon are opposing each other, okay? And a full moon is a culmination point, it's a completion point, it's also a release point. So Aries, you are culminating, completing, releasing things that started for you on June 10th. That's number 1. Another thing you're culminating, completing, releasing is something that started in around Jan 13th, Jan 14th with the new moon in Capricorn, okay? And that new moon in Capricorn happened in your 10th house of career. So something connected to your career, you'll be completing, releasing, and culminating. And This full moon is no ordinary full moon because we had a Saturn-Pluto conjunction. Saturn and Pluto met up in Jan of 2020 in the sign of Capricorn, and they met up after 38 years. And we began a new cycle in Jan of 2020, a cycle that has completely transformed our material reality. And finally, this is the point where what began in Jan of 2020, you'll be able to say, you'll be able to see it very clearly. You'll be able to own it in a way. Okay? So that's another important thing. And for you, Aries, I also want to mention that Saturn Pluto conjunction, wherever it happens in your chart, okay? And I'll tell you where it happened for you, Aries. Wherever it happens in your chart, that's the area that gets transformed completely. That's the area that gets a makeover. Okay, that's the area where your material reality connected to that area and your area will shift completely. And for you, the Saturn Pluto conjunction happened in your 10th house, career, public life, business. That's the area that changed completely in Jan of 2020. Now, it also depends on the degree of the rising sign, okay? Because if you are, say, if your rising is 24 degrees of Aries, then the houses and the conjunction points change. And instead, the Saturn Pluto conjunction may have happened in your 11th house or 9th house, depending, okay? But in general, it happened in your 10th house, and that's the area it transformed career. And the next thing happens on June 25th. Neptune goes retrograde. Now, Neptune goes retrograde for a few months every year. And for you, Neptune is in your 12th house. Neptune is a very slow moving planet. It's been in your 12th house since 2011. Okay, so that's over a decade. And when Neptune is transiting a house, it can create delusions, it can create confusion, it can create loss, it can create confusions, because and the ultimate purpose of Neptune is to dissolve things. It wants to just dissolve. And for you, Aries, it has been in your 12th house. Fortunately, Neptune likes the 12th house. It rules the 12th house. So you've been subconsciously focused on spirituality, on connecting with the higher realm, because Neptune has been in your 12th house since 2011, and now it's going to retrograde in that house for you. And when Neptune retrogrades again, things start to ease off, and the confusion also eases off, and you start to see the rewards. And for you, all this is connected to spirituality, it's connected to the higher realm. It can also be connected to drugs, depression, lies, addictions. Okay? And moving on, the last thing that I'm going to mention is by the end of the month, June 27th, Venus is going to leave your 4th house and enter your 5th house. And as I had mentioned, whenever Venus is transiting a house, we become more receptive to those areas in our life. We may receive small blessings in those areas of our life. And I say small because Venus moves around really fast. Jupiter moves once in 12 years, so the blessings we receive are big. But the Venus blessings are smaller, more frequent but smaller. And in the 5th house, your focus, your receptivity will shift from your home, family, foundation, ancestors to romance, to pleasure, to hobbies, to fun, to children. And that's where you may receive certain blessings. So that's the month for you, Aries. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I am going to pull out a card. These are not tarot cards, but they're oracle cards, and I'm going to pull out one card and see what that... Okay, a card has already fallen, so I'm just going to go with this. It says new life. Now, I don't believe I need to explain this card, Aries. It's a new life for you. It's a new beginning for you this month. I believe the new Moon Solar Eclipse will bring a lot of good things for you, and this is the card of the month for you, Aries. So that's it, and I do like to give you a little bit of background, and that's why I talk about where Saturn is, where Jupiter is, because it gives you context and it makes you realize that yes, things change from month to month, week to week, day to day, even hour to hour in astrology. But slow moving planets like Saturn, especially, it can create certain themes in your life that will last over 3 years. So, and sometimes what happens, as it has happened with me in the past, we think bad times, I'm not saying you're going through bad times, I'm just giving my example, bad times will never end. Good times will never come. But just know that times always change. And Saturn, wherever it is, you will need to work hard, but that's also going to change. And right now, Saturn's in your 11th house, okay? So, do hit the subscribe button, and I will see you guys next time. And also, if you want to watch my daily, weeklies, monthlies, I put them out on YouTube. They're all on YouTube for free, or you can visit my website. It's called www.realmofastrology.com. I'll put it in the description box, and I'll even put it at the end of the video so that it's clear. So you can watch my dailies, you can watch my weekly, you can watch my monthly, you can watch my sun sign. I also do special astrology videos and presentations. You can watch those, and yeah, do hit the subscribe button. And if you like this video, do share it with your Aries friends. And again, this is valid for your sun sign and your rising sign. So have a great day. Bye.